Hello, everyone. Welcome to ScriptCamp Table Reads. I am your host, Gray. And for those of you new to this event, what we do here is just read through our submitted scripts and then give feedback. If you choose to participate in the form of reading through the script with us or giving feedback, you should be rewarded with script coins, which is a currency we have here on the server. Put the blurb here. You can use it to buy various merch, or if you have 100 of them, your very own full-length TV pilot or full-length feature reading at this very event. So do keep that in mind. Everyone, I suggest you watch PDF stream. That's where all the scripts will be. Or if you don't want to watch the stream, you can download the scripts on Table Reads info. But we'll just jump right into the event here. Okay, starting out with American Ideals from Saturn the Writer / Sam. This is a crime/period drama TV pilot. The series logline is, in 1950s Northeastern America, a suburban sheriff tries to maintain his American dream life with a seemingly ideal family, until the emergence of white supremacists force him to confront his hidden biracial identity. Pilot logline is, after a hostage situation goes wrong, Ivan tries to track down an unknown group of killers, whilst his wife starts to get suspicious of his secrecy, trying to mend their marriage. Feedback we're looking for. I added a new conclusion to this opening, to try and help clear up and establish the main character. Does this work? Are you hooked? Does this resonate with anyone? Content warning for strong language, graphic violence, and animal cruelty. Anything to add before we start, Sam?
No, I think you've said it as it is. Yeah, go for it, guys. Hope you enjoy.
Woo. Well, luckily, there's only 2 character parts for this. I will cover direction for this script. And yeah, I'll just say the names of the 2 characters, and if you want to speak up. First is Ivan. Anyone for the part of Ivan?
I can be Ivan.
Thank you, Simmer.
I can be the driver.
Okay, thank you, Pollock. All right, that covers it. Let's get that script open, watch the stream. We will give it a read. American Ideals. Sam McLeod. Yes. To be half of 2 things is to be full of nothing. Gabrielle Zevin, sorry. Teaser. Exterior open plains, sunrise. Barren sands. Snag pushes back against the gusty winds. Tumbleweed rolls. Something straight out of a spaghetti western. Under the scorching sun, a dog, brown and shaven, trudges across the open lands, panting with exhaustion. The collar around its neck reads Spartacus, so we'll call him that, Spartacus. Exterior desert road, day. More barren sands, but with the addition of a straight road going into the distance. Spartacus approaches the curb. He looks down one way, nothing. He turns the other way. A bus, 50s model, drives down the road. Destination indicator reads Town. Bus gets closer and closer. Spartacus wags and wags his tail. The bus quickly approaches, zooming past. It doesn't stop. It just keeps going. Spartacus watches, whimpers. He trudges along after the bus. Exterior suburban street, day. White clouds float in the bright sky. White picket houses line the street on both sides. White rose bushes bloom in every front garden. Spartacus walks down the pavement, gazing around. Car drives past, leaving it tranquil, until Spartacus arrives at exterior Fisher House, day. Beautiful, whitewashed, like any other on the street. Cadillac sits in the driveway. A doghouse sits in the front lawn. Spartacus examines closely, until a poodle, white and well-groomed, arising from its slumber, steps out, met by Spartacus, staring back. The poodle barks back. Spartacus tilts his head, confused. Poodle continues barking like a whining child, until more poodles from other dog houses in the neighborhood rush out, joining in, barking aggressively. Spartacus whips his head around, whimpering anxiously as they surround him. Spartacus curls up into a ball as the growls and snarls overwhelm him, until they stop. Silence. The poodles pan around to the Fisher house front door. The lock rattles and clicks. Someone is trying to unlock it from the inside. Poodles glance at each other. Shit. They all scram, scurrying across the front lawns, all slowly disappearing back into their dog houses, until the front door opens. Ivan Fisher, 37, the perfect embodiment of the nuclear family father, saunters out in his white morning gown, reaching down for the newspaper. Ivan glances at it. Date reads 27th November, 1955. He smiles. Looks like another good day for him. Okay, we're getting feedback from someone's mic. Oh, it's Pollock. Let's try again. He smiles. Looks like another good day for him. Until he looks up at his lawn. Spartacus still sits in a ball. Ivan smiles gently, enamored. He whistles. Spartacus's ears perk up, slowly unveiling himself, staring back at Ivan. They share a heartfelt stare. Ivan thinks to himself. He has an idea, nodding. He rolls up the newspaper, getting ready to throw. Spartacus catches on, standing up, tongue hanging out.
1, 2, 3, effects.
He throws the newspaper through the air, while Spartacus dashes after it as it hits the ground, landing on the concrete road. Spartacus grabs the newspaper with his mouth, huffing with ecstasy.
Good boy.
Ivan smiles, happy. Spartacus smiles, also happy. Honk honk, Spartacus turns towards, wham! School bus crashes straight into Spartacus, hurling him across the road like a rag doll. Crack, snap, thud. Ivan winces, horrified, sprinting after it. Spartacus lays across the ground, whining and shaking erratically. A pool of blood bleeds out slowly. Ivan stands before Spartacus, looking down with guilt. Children, all 8-ish, poke their heads out of the bus windows, staring down at Spartacus, hypnotized. The driver, 60s, southern accent, redneck type, steps out of the bus, looking down at Spartacus. He lets out a sigh, like this is just another Tuesday for him.
Screw it. Fucking dogs always getting in the way.
Ivan gulps. He crouches down on one knee, looking into Spartacus's sullen eyes.
Just leave it. God will have his say.
Driver turns back to the bus, seeing all the kids watching.
Hey, get your heads back in. Nothing to see here.
The children don't even bat an eyelid. They keep staring. Ivan notices, looking back down at Spartacus. Sigh. He strokes Spartacus, comforting him, before gently wrapping his hands around Spartacus's neck, squeezing tightly, putting him out of his misery. Driver takes notice, speechless. He looks back at the kids, unsure. Ivan doesn't. He just gets it over with. The whining comes to a close. Spartacus ceases to twitch. Laying still, dead. Ivan lets go of the corpse, seemingly unfazed. He stands up, dusting off his hands.
Hey, now why did you do that for?
Ivan turns around to the driver, instantly changing persona, like he had gone from Jekyll to Hyde in seconds. Driver gets a good look of him. But wait. He recognizes Ivan.
Wait a minute, aren't you?
Ivan gives him a stern, condescending look.
Why don't you do me a favor and take care of this rodent?
Driver smiles, nervous and intimidated.
Of course, Sheriff. I'll put it in the back, yeah?
Ivan nods, stoic. Driver goes over to Spartacus's corpse, grabbing onto the legs, dragging it across the road. Blood trail follows. Ivan observes. He looks at the kids, also unfazed, yet still watching. Driver opens the back of the door of the school bus, chucking the corpse into the back of the bus. He shuts the back door. Interior school bus, continuous. Spartacus's corpse lays across the floor. The kids stare at it, taking it in. before, one by one, slowly turning away from it, shrugging it off, like nothing happened. Exterior Fisher House continuous. The driver gets to the front door of the bus, turning around, waving back to Ivan. Ivan doesn't react, deathly staring him back inside. Driver gulps. He gets in, closing the door behind. Engine throttles into gear again. Black fumes cough out the exhaust pipe. The bus revs as it drives off, slowly into the distance. Ivan watches it disappear. He clicks his tongue to himself, walks back across his lawn to his front door, so we notice that the doghouse is no longer there, like it never was. Ivan heads back inside his lavish house, but he stops at the door, looks around one last time. Silence. Deathly silence. Interior Fisher House. Foyer continuous. Wide on Ivan, silhouetted, standing in the doorway. He sighs, looking down at himself, guilty, a glimpse of humanity in him. He reaches into his back pocket, taking out his wallet. He opens it up. Close on wallet. Ivan's sheriff badge. Name, Ivan Spartacus Fisher. And next to it, a family photo. Young Ivan, 8. David Fisher, late 30s, white as any other American. His father. And Carrie Davis, early 30s, black. His mother. All of them happy. Ivan gulps, putting his thumb over Carrie's face, trying to hide her from his own gaze. But he sighs. She's still there. He lifts his thumb again. Carrie still smiles back. Ivan ponders on it, until he shakes his head to himself, repressing it. He puts the wallet back in his pocket. Ivan looks outside one last time, before shutting the front door for good, cutting to black. End teaser. All right. Excellent job reading, everyone. And we'll start with feedback now. Let me scroll back to the feedback section to see, again, what we're looking for. It says, I added a new conclusion to this opening to try and help clear up and establish the main character. Does this work? Are you hooked? And does this resonate with anyone? All right. We will start with feedback then. We usually go up or down the list. Willow, would you want to start us off?
Sure. I think first of all, I kind of feel like the driver should have a name or something, or like some other kind of a description. That he seemed to play a pretty important part in this section. He wasn't just like a one-liner and gone. No. I didn't understand why the school took the dog's corpse, or like, all right, so I'm assuming the dog was in Ivan's imagination. Was the school bus in his, was that also something that he imagined, or was the school bus real? I'm not really sure which is real, which is not, and I don't think we're supposed to at this point. I think you do a good job of setting up, like getting us to care about the dog, and then kind of ripping that away so that we are conflicted about how we feel about Ivan. Yeah, I could tell it was a metaphor, but I don't know what the metaphor is. I'd say I'm more intrigued than anything. It just putting the dog on the bus was what threw me the most. I didn't understand why. And if that was part of the metaphor, I completely lost it. Like there's good confusion, then there's bad confusion. And that spot right there was kind of a bad confusion to me. But the rest of it I thought was well written and it was good.
Thanks, Willow. Hi, Kremlinite, Kremlinite. It appears you are server muted. Let's see. Do you have any feedback for the script?
Oh, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. So nothing particular. I just joined in, but I assume there is some sort of an intended connection between. Maybe I just missed something. So the dog is named Spartacus, and the character's, I'm sorry, Ivan's middle name is also Spartacus, right?
Yeah, the dog is Spartacus, and the middle name of the of Ivan. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I guess. I'm sorry if it's not really anything specific, but I know there's like some sort of a basic symbolism there. Does the dog like represent a part of Ivan? Does it like is its death supposed to be like indicative of something? I don't know if that's asking too much. I'm kind of new on here.
We actually, when giving feedback, try not to have a dialogue between the writer and people giving feedback. We sort of want you to give feedback with the information you have right now. Because, like, audiences in general and finished products don't get to talk to writers directly, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
if you would have, like, any feedback you would change about it or what could be done better or anything like that.
Definitely nothing you can announce right now, but thank you.
Thanks, Kremlin. Teddy, did you have any feedback?
I mean, it's rather noticeable. It's a metaphor, although it was only noticeable after the doghouse was gone, and like it was said, it's I suppose it's hard to tell in this script. It's a metaphor in the beginning, and it creates a lot of confusions after it happens. It might be different when it's actually, if it would actually be done and filmed. It might look completely different, but I think just making it a little bit more clear what's happening. Otherwise, it's a pretty solid start. Well, it's a start. Anyway, it's a solid part, and that's pretty much it. Just a little more clear what's happening, because you have to understand that the people reading the scripts have to understand this is a metaphor right away. That's all.
Thank you, Teddy. Stingray, did you have any feedback?
Yes, it's on mute. There we go. That's a good question. I'll avoid, or I won't immediately dive into the metaphor aspect, just because I think a lot of people just gave a similar comment, and I don't want to repeat too much what's already been said. One thing, and very minor, but I think, assuming that the way this scene is written out, that sort of Ivan's misbehavior, well, two things. One, Ivan's misbehavior is that, like, he does this very rational, but in a sense, kind of cruel or kind of a social faux pas, and that he kills the dog. That's his misbehavior. We understand that there's sort of a reason behind it. The dog is injured, but we also understand that it's an act that requires a lot of cruelty, and that Ivan has to sort of suppress himself when he does it. I think, to highlight that this is Ivan breaking a sort of social norm, doing something that he's not supposed to do, even if we understand the reason behind it. I think the reaction of the children should be a little bit more shocked, mainly because I think the purpose of him killing the dog is to sort of establish that, like, Ivan has broken some social code, and this is just what he does. He can behave cruel if he thinks there's a good reason behind it. I think if the children don't react to it as cruel, it kind of lessens the impact of how cruel what Ivan did actually is. And it sort of makes it feel a little bit less like he's violated a social taboo. What else? Yeah, I'm torn on Ivan calling the dog a rodent, just because my assumption is that Ivan's doing this to sort of just underline that, like, it's a dead dog. It has no value anymore. It's dead. This isn't a living creature. It's just debris on the road at this moment in time. But I don't know if he would still use the term rodent, just because, at least for me, when I use that, while it is like, a degrading term, even a dead dog, I would just call, if I was being like an absolute debris, or I don't know, something like that. But rodent, when I hear rodent, I picture like a raccoon, a rat. Just even if I was trying to get in Ivan's mindset of, this is a dog, it's dead, it's on the side of the road, it currently is an eyesore and it needs to be gotten rid of, I still don't know if I'd use the word rodent, just because at least me personally, other people might disagree, I really would limit that usage myself to like just rats and raccoons and other things like that. But that might just be a me one. Let me think what else. Okay, this is a really small one. So do with it what you wish. You can completely ignore this note. But I almost feel even a little bit bad saying it. Because I do like this scene, and I think it served its purpose of establishing that Ivan has multiple sides to his persona, and that while he's capable of being kind, if he feels he needs to be cruel, he can be cruel. House of Cards Season 1, Episode 1 also opens on its main character killing a dog. Under very similar circumstances, which I feel bad bringing up, but just because it's a popular show, I figured I should mention that it like the opening of House of Cards Season 1, Episode 1 also plays out really, really similarly. And then for the metaphor, I'll just say that my comments are relatively the same as other people, which is I was not quite sure where the line between fantasy and reality was, which can be a tough thing to do when you like immediately establish, scene 1, episode 1, because we haven't even really been grounded in reality, and already we're being thrown into like potentially a fantasy on top of reality. So we haven't even like been established. We haven't even had time to take in like what is real before being introduced to what is not, which for me, again, assuming that the dog was a metaphor, was a little bit jarring. I'll also say even if the dog is a metaphor, and that even if the dog's purpose is to establish that Ivan can be a jerk, it could still be a real dog. He doesn't need to like have a dream about himself killing a dog. If deep down he can be a jerk when he thinks he has a good reason to, he could just kill a legit actual dog. In that, like it will be a metaphor for Ivan's character when you put it in the script, whether or not it actually happens. It'll be an introduction to Ivan's character, whether or not it's a real occurrence that really takes place within the fictional world that you've established. So I guess one of my gut feeling is I don't know why it doesn't, at least with the very, very limited amount of script I've read. There may be a very, if I were to read the whole pilot, I might feel differently, but with the very limited amount of script I've read.
All right, thanks, Stingray.
My feeling is it could be real. And sorry for going long on that one.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, but we do have like 4 more scripts to go through and a bunch of people, so like do try to be concise. But yeah, thank you, Stingray. Let's see, Jadea has feedback. I'm going to read it out. Jadea says, I thought it was pretty good. To me, the metaphor was pretty clear due to the word white being repeated like 10 times and the poodles, LOL. A part of me actually wishes it were a bit more subtle. I didn't realize that some of the things weren't real, aside from the doghouse disappearing, but I think I'm understanding it in my own way. The doghouse disappearing and the dog dying is like a part of Ivan dying. The dog dying was real, the doghouse was fake. It was like a weird duality thing, like they were connected for a moment. Well, thanks, Jadea. Cool insight. Let's see. Simmer, did you have any feedback?
Yeah. So I really like this scene. It's sort of like builds into the payoff like quite well. And you're wondering like what's the point of this dog, you know, and then Ivan gets introduced and yeah. So some feedback. I didn't really get the poodle all jumping out. Oh, I see Lasagna wrote that it was like a metaphor. So that might make sense, but if other than that, I'm not really sure. And also there's the one part on page 2 where it says poodles glance at each other. Shit. I feel like this kind of thing would be like, what am I trying to say? This kind of thing is it would feel better in like a comedy script, I guess, like dogs looking at each other with that expression. But I assume this is like a serious script, so so I would just remove that line, but it's my opinion. And also, you mentioned the conclusion of this, that you wanted feedback on that, and I think the part when he steps back into his house and he looks at his he looks at the pictures of his family and stuff. I don't think that part is really necessary. Like looking at photos, I think is a bit of a cliche, and it's better to like leave with some mystery, I think, because this I really like this opening because it raises question like, who is Ivan? Why did the driver react that way? What like you want to know more about him. So I think that's good for a teaser. So I would just take out that conclusion, if my opinion. And I like the doghouse disappearing at the very end. I know some people didn't, but I thought that was good that you're like, oh, this is a metaphor. Oh, there's something else going on. This isn't real. This isn't really real, you know. Maybe he's an unreliable narrator or something. But yeah, overall, I really liked it. It was really, really cool. Very well written scene.
Thanks, Simmer. Got an echo. Pollock, did you have any feedback?
Nothing that hasn't been already said. I mean, I didn't know it was a metaphor until like the white picketed fences and the what type of dog was it, by the way? It didn't say what type of dog was it. All I know is that it was not a poodle.
I think in the script it says it was just shaved and brown.
Ah, that makes sense. Shaved and brown, bunch of poodles barking. I don't get the oh shit part. Like, why would they run away from the sheriff? Like, that seems very comedic compared to the rest of the script.
Remember, you can just like give feedback based on the information you have. It's try not to have people ask direct questions. Or sorry, maybe I misheard you or something.
They backed off when the sheriff came out. Yeah, that's my feedback. Other than that, it was actually pretty good. I still think the oh shit part was a little bit comedic compared to how dramatic the rest of the script is. But yeah, that's my feedback.
Thank you, Pollock. Yeah, sorry, sometimes I get my wires crossed. Nacho, did you have any feedback?
Yeah, so I had a chance to read a few different scenes of this. I don't think I've read like the whole script. I think the opening is really strong. It's like interesting. It feels like unique. You know, following this cute little dog, and we're kind of, I think when the poodles come out, it's sort of like, okay, this is kind of like a stylized world. Like this is not meant to be, you know, realistic, naturalistic style. It's more, you know, something kind of like just an interesting world that starts to feel like, right? I guess this is a really minor thing, but when you have an action line where we see more poodles from other dog houses, it feels like that's kind of not the same location, right? Like maybe this is kind of like wider on the whole neighborhood or something. If we see like all these poodles, like we see them all simultaneously coming, like it's just not exactly clear. Like I would just consider a little bit like, what exactly do you want to see on the screen? And is that more, you know, a bigger shot with the whole neighborhood, or is this sort of like a little, you know, kind of montage if we see like one poodle, then we see another poodle, then another poodle. So just something to consider. It's not really a big deal, but I guess I'd say my bigger note is just probably, I mean, it's really strange to me, like why someone would, you know, choke out a dog. Like, I don't know if that's something people do, to, you know, putting a dog out of its misery by choking them. It seems like really weird, and maybe just end the teaser right there and just bam, that's the teaser. It feels kind of, this is kind of long for a teaser, 5 pages, and I don't really see like any connection at all. Like I understand that there's meant to be like a connection, but maybe it's like kind of over my head. It feels like Spartacus the dog, okay, I guess he's like a mutt, and the other dogs are like white poodles or something, but like the bigger thing is the guy just choking out this dog. It's like kind of really shocking and weird. And then I'm not seeing the connection with him kind of, you know, looking at the picture of his family, and it feels like probably I would just end it right when he's like choking out the dog or something, and maybe have the driver's dialogue or something. It's kind of a bit too much to then have him like put it, like I didn't quite understand like why would he have, it's hard to understand the world where someone needs to have a school bus deliver the dog somewhere else, or, you know, like it's hard for me to understand what's going on. But I think you have like one really shocking thing. I think that's a good place to end the teaser. And yeah, that was my main note. I think you have a line on page 5, white as any other American. It doesn't really make sense to me because there are many Americans who are not white. So I guess I understand kind of the intent, but I think I would find maybe a different metaphor just to kind of really, you know, if you're trying to really convey like this person is really, really white skin or something, right? But I think, yeah, I don't know. It's hard. I can't really give feedback on the whole story because I've only seen like a few different scenes here and there. But it's, you know, I definitely would continue reading.
Thanks, Nacho. Morgana, any feedback?
I guess I was a little confused. I didn't really know it was a dream, but maybe I'm just stupid. I don't understand things. it was a lot of just, I don't know, not much dialogue, which is fine. It was kind of like Nacho said, pretty long for an opener. I do enjoy, now that I know that it's a dream or like a metaphor, there definitely is a dream quality to it. It kind of reminds me of the end of Carrie, the 1978 version, where she's like walking backward. It's very dreamlike and everything's kind of weird and distorted. Um, in terms, I'm a little confused with the log line, because it says, and like with the driver, okay, the driver has a southern accent, but this takes place in the Northeast. There's also a roaming, what is this? The emergence of white supremacists. I guess this is just like a context, like what are we looking at? Is this like the Ku Klux Klan? Because in that case, that was in the 50s, that was mainly a Southern thing. Or is this another group? Is this like neo-Nazi type thing? Which would be interesting. That's only 10 years after World War II. But that has really nothing to do with these 5 pages. I guess that's more into later in the plot. But it's well written. It might just be, there's a lot of stylized things going on here that could be cut down, I think. But overall, I think it was pretty good. So, good job.
Thanks, Morgana. Sorry, Kraken, I kept on skipping over your feedback. You typed, Kraken says, the audience only sees the name on the collar at the very beginning. You might want to drop a reminder in while the dog is dying, just to refresh everyone before the reveal at the end of the teaser. Thanks, Kraken. Michelle, did you have any feedback?
Yeah, I
Michelle.
have feedback.
Oh, there you are.
Hey, how are you doing? Okay, so first of all, I didn't follow that. I guess when the dog dies and he kills it to quote unquote put it out its misery, that was a dream. I didn't get that. And the children thing, they just didn't react. That what's happened to these children that these elementary school kids aren't reacting to a dog dying, So, I mean, I've been through a hell of a lot of trauma. And by the time I was, I found our dog dead, when I was 8 years old. Or no, I'm sorry, I was 9. And I was bawling, and I had panic attacks and things like that. And yet, at 9 years old, I already had PTSD from being abused. So I'm just wondering what's the matter with these kids. Also, I mean, if this is a dream and he's choking, he's putting the dog out of its misery by choking it, then okay. But if it's real life, then I automatically just hate him. I wish he were a real person so I could go kick his ass, And I'm thinking, does he not have the money to call a vet? I've had no money and I took a dying squirrel to the vet, and they said okay, and they euthanized it because they said the squirrel couldn't be saved, and they wanted to know if I was going to, if it could be saved, if I could give it a home, and I said no, I can't. Anyway, if that's just all a dream, then okay, and I'm just wondering, where is this going? Is he afraid that he's secretly a bad person that's coming out in his dreams, or what? And I think it's okay for the bus driver to have a southern accent up north, because people move around. And I don't know what era this takes place, but if it's modern, then yeah, I mean, the bus driver could have moved around for lots of reasons. I don't like the stereotype of, quote, redneck type. There's a lot of people who live here in the South, live in the country, are poor, and people just make fun of them, and stereotype them just because of where they live, how much money they've got, and where they live. Like if they live, or like if they live in a trailer, automatically people say, "Oh, well, they're trailer trash," and they're predicted that way, and they're shown that way in TV and movies a lot. So it's become a trope. So I would, instead of saying typical redneck, I would just describe him. Does he have long hair? Does he have missing teeth? I mean,
Are you still there, Michelle? I think your audio cut out. Can you hear me right now? If you could type something in the chat. All right then. Thank you for your feedback, Michelle. Say so. You can type something in the chat for me to read out loud later. If there is a problem, you might be able to solve it by leaving.
I apologize.
Wait, there you are. You're there.
My Walmart delivery person just called. This happened yesterday also, in the middle of being in one of the groups with y'all, and Walmart calls me in the middle trying to deliver, and the person has limited English abilities, and the only foreign language I speak is German. That's not very popular here. So anyway, I've got to go get my delivery. But anyway, that's just my feedback. The guy being stereotypical. We wouldn't stereotype as someone who's African American or someone who's Hispanic or someone who's Asian. So why are we stereotyping? White people like myself who live in the South. I have not lived it. I have not taken back. I've lived in a trailer, and you're not a bad person if you live in a trailer and you're from the South and you got a Southern accent like this, So, and the kids being affected. Those two things I felt, and killing the dog. Those are the three things that I just would say improve on those.
Thanks, Michelle. And the reason everyone I said drop the killing a dog conversation in the chat, guys, is because you can revel in disturbing stuff in the script because that's what we're here to discuss, but just outside of that vacuum, it's a very upsetting topic for most. So that's why I asked that we sort of reel it back in. But thank you, Michelle. And Jadea already gave feedback. Joel, did you have any feedback?
No feedback from me.
All right then. Kraken, you gave your feedback. Heated, did you have any feedback?
Yeah. I'm gonna try to be quick with this one. So the idea is it's a big metaphor as the beginning, and I feel like you hit it in a lot of. I'll try, Carmen, but it's a lot of metaphors at the beginning. As you make it somewhat obvious that, or not too obvious either, that Spartacus is representing the black in Ivan, right? Especially a name like Ivan, I always imagine someone Russian, someone white, which is a weird name for some reason. I don't know why, because we read your 10 pages, I think, at yesterday's read, and it's such a different character from the one that when he goes to Sean's house to this one, to this character here. It feels very different, but you do have a lot of metaphors, right? You have the dogs barking at this stray, which would be the white people in a suburban house or neighborhood. But you also, again, I'm trying to read this as a metaphor. The driver is Southern, right? He is a redneck. He kills the dog technically as a Southern redneck type, killing a black man or a black person, right? Is the dog, the stray. And then he takes the dog and then puts him in the back of the bus where black people had to sit, right? But it's dead also. That's the metaphor that I got from this, at least. And if you meant it like that, you're really breaking the levels down very nicely. Or maybe people watch it on the second time and catch it. But like most of your writing, and again, I tell you all the time, I hope I don't sound annoying, well written, but it just takes a beat too long to get to it. I feel it's a bit long just for a metaphor. And I feel you could really do something more with the parents with this for some reason. I really would have liked to. I can't think of anything right now on what you could do, but again, it just takes a second too long. It could be the ellipses you add. You really like those in your writing, and that's cool. But just a bit, maybe just shave a bit off of the ellipses. Other than that, yeah, very different character from the last script, Ivan, to this one. But still, I can see that you're molding it pretty well. This is nice though. Good work, dude.
Thanks. He did FTS57, and I'm sure there's something in there that I'm missing that's a nickname. Did you have any feedback?
It literally means nothing.
Okay.
Feedback would pretty much repeat what most everybody has already said, so I'm not going to do that. But I will say I am interested if this is just the beginning. I would like to see where it goes.
Thanks, FTS. Evil Michael, did you have any feedback?
I do. So this is the second time I've read your work. For me, I don't know if you've submitted because I missed a couple of weekends. I finished my class, everyone, yay! But as I stated the first time I read it, you have a skill for creating atmosphere. Now I'm going to graduate that up to a talent. You're very skilled at creating atmosphere. I'm sitting here listening to this and I'm reading it saying, what WTF is going on with this dog? And why are you going on and on and on about this dog? Well, you made that dog a principal protagonist. Oh, great. Yeah. And I love the way you suddenly kill that dog. That dog was just bopping, 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 bopping. You had this beautiful angelic scene and pow, he gets hit by a bus. I asked you earlier in private if you are fans of Coen Brothers. They do that a lot. For example, the Coen Brothers, guys talking, and pow, all of a sudden he gets hit in the face with a shovel. Two guys are talking, and pow, the guy hits him in the head with his coffee mug or something like that. So, but what you did was you pulled the rug out from under us. And I so love when writers do that. I am so tired of boring, safe, comfort writing. You pulled the rug out from under us. You created this, I can see the little lizards and the birds chirping, and pow, he gets hit by a bus. So yeah, I like this. And to answer your question, yeah, I'm engaged. And I can see, as Willow pointed out, and he did an excellent job of pointing out, the metaphors and the teasing definitely worked. And then you ended the teaser like that. And it wasn't until the doghouse disappeared I said, this guy's sitting up here screwing with my head. This didn't, you bad boy, you Santa. You are such a bad boy. Now, far be it for me to ever in these kind of groups tell somebody how to write their script, but I'm just going to share this with you. I grew up on Monty Python and Second City TV. What if those kids stuck their head out the side of the bus, shocked, and then started cheering? Oh, yeah, that was so cool! Oh, did you see that? He ran that dog. I don't know. Just a little thought. No, man. You were asking, am I interested? Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to be I'm going to be direct messaging you because there's something going on with this. Yeah, wonderful job. Good job. And you personified this dog. You really humanized this dog. And I love also, there's another skill. I love the way you introduce the fact that this guy is a sheriff and you save that to the very end of the scene. We had no idea that this guy was a sheriff. And then find the bus driver. Oh, yeah, sheriff. Clever, clever, clever. Good job, Tanner. I'll submit the next 5 pages of this, if you would, please.
Thank you, Evil Michael. Dan, did you have any feedback?
But since everybody's already covered most of the technical stuff, one part that I kind of thought was needed might be a little subtext. Like, when he looks at the photo, it's pretty obvious to anyone who's reading that this is that kid's mom. This is the kid and his parents. Am I too loud? Sorry.
No, you're not loud.
You said please don't yell, and I apologize. Oh, okay. So, like, this is this person right here, this man, his father. This woman, his mother. I think anyone who's reading that can pretty much will look at that and go, you know, duh. Obviously, that's the mother and father. So I think just try and cut down on, I guess it's just a little bit of white space sort of thing. But other than that, geez, there's so much to do. And there's still, 5 more things to get through, and we've already burned an hour. So let's keep this moving. And I'll say I'm done.
Thank you, Dan. Carmen, did you have any feedback?
Hey, everyone. Yeah, I really like the fine details that you provide, and I think it really adds to the tension leading up to those, pow moments, like somebody else was saying. And there may be at some points a little bit of too slow of a pace, which is rare. Usually the pace is too fast, right? But also I can't really give full feedback because I really needed to be reading it. I'm not processing anything really. Is it audibly? Is that the word? Audibly? Yeah. I'm not really processing audibly right now very well. Yeah.
We stream all the scripts.
Oh, you were streaming it on the watch stream? Okay, so yeah, I needed to really follow along. I just wasn't really able to fully concentrate. But yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Carmen. If you do get to look through the script later and have some feedback, you can always type it, and I can read it out loud later. But yes, good job giving feedback, everyone. Good job reading. Thank you so much, Sam, for sharing. Any feedback I give would be redundant, but I found it very intriguing. I hope to see more. So then, let's move on to our next script. There's stuff in the... Oh, I thought someone sent a message in Table Reads info. Anyway, second script. We have... Is this person here? Mutant llama? Probably should have sent them a DM earlier. Because they haven't been here this whole time, right? Huh. Well, we're going to move on to the script after that then. This is Millennial Ghost from Stingray 237. This is a horror comedy short. Logline is, a young man moves into a haunted one-bedroom apartment, and the ghost is a real dick. Feedback we're looking for, nothing specific, it's just an update. No content warning. Anything else to add, Stingray?
I mean, just that this is the first half, and yeah, looking forward. So there's like an extra 5 pages after it, and hoping to hear your feedback.
Ooh, excellent. You check and see. Morgana says, hang on, can one of the mods send Mutant Llama a DM just asking? I can do it later if no one can right now. But let's see, I'm going to assign parts now.
With? You want us to send him a DM?
Yeah, send Mutant Llama a DM. Just let them know table reads are going on. I should have done this earlier. Thank you. But I'm going to read direction for this script. And I'm going to read out the parts. We have 4 parts.
I didn't get my script coins.
Oh. Dang, I thought you said you couldn't process the script very well.
Yeah, well, I did comment on pacing.
Okay, then. Let's see. Bam. Now I will cast rolls. And if you want the part, just speak up and I will cast you.
Yes.
Woo. Good to hear, Dan. Would you mind being Josh?
Oh, this isn't the one with the sands? Okay. Sure.
No, they haven't arrived yet, so I'm skipping that for now. So thank you, Dan. Then narrator. Anyone for the part of narrator?
I'll take it.
Thank you, Heated. Wendy. Anyone for Wendy? Thank you, Morgana. Finally, Christine. Anyone want to play Christine?
Oh, I can be Christine.
Thank you, Simmer. Dang it. Wish I could type. That's like 70% of my job. Okay, there we go. Everyone get that script downloaded or open that stream. And we will get started. Millennial Ghost, Raymond Maspin. Terribly. Here comes the direction. Direction. There we are. Exterior apartment complex, night. A grainy night vision shot tracks towards a darkened bedroom window. Interior apartment, night. Night vision. Josh, late 20s, sleeps peacefully. The bedroom door slowly creaks open, but there's no one there. A mysterious white shape nudges Josh's head. Josh awakens in complete horror. Standing next to him is a ghost.
You forgot the Netflix password?
Interior living room, day. Josh sits on his apartment couch. Super, Josh Lubinsky.
Lived here 6 months now. Love my unit. Very modern. This couch. 100% linen.
The narrator says something off camera.
Huh? Oh, right, the ghost. Technically, my unit is haunted. Haunted with fun. Right, Chet?
Super, Chet. Chet/ghost sits in the armchair next to Josh. He's an upright bedsheet with dark, unreadable eyes. Chet tosses an empty beer can at Josh. Scroll down. There we go.
That's a way of saying I'm one of the pros. Hear me up, am I right, bro?
Josh goes in for a fist bump. No response. Exterior bathroom, day. Josh urgently knocks on the bathroom door.
Chet!
Josh talking head.
Living with a ghost is a lot like living without a roommate.
Exterior bathroom day. Josh continues knocking.
Drank a lot of Gatorade.
Josh talking head.
Of course, wasn't supposed to have any roommates, but we made it
Exterior
work.
bedroom day. Josh anxiously paces around the door. Christine, mid-20s, watches him. Super. Christine, Josh's girlfriend.
Sure, he'll be at any minute.
Finally, the bathroom
Thank
door
God,
cracks
buddy.
open. Chet grasps Josh's laptop and closes the door.
Chet.
Christine rolls her eyes. Christine talking head.
Dating someone who is being haunted can be difficult, especially because Josh is a pushover.
Josh is sitting on the couch next to her.
You really need to include this?
Yes.
Okay.
Interior kitchen day. Chet opens a beer bottle with his mitt-like ghost hands.
You remember do the dishes?
Chet hovers away, revealing a massive pile of dishes. Josh and Christine talking head.
I think Chet and I are working towards a really healthy place.
Josh turns to Chet, who is sitting on the armchair next to
She
them.
means it's hard for you to find work, because the whole ghost thing is a form of discrimination. Wrong.
Christine rolls her eyes, hard. Exterior apartment complex day. Wendy Smith, 50s, exits from a beat-up minivan.
Desperate for help, Josh and Christine reached out to a local psychic.
Super, Wendy Smith, psychic. Interior apartment day. Energy.
I can sense a lot of pain and suffering, mainly coming from this aura.
Interior bedroom day. Wendy, Josh, and Christine continue to tour the apartment.
I can see it. His name was Chet.
We told you his name was Chet.
He died in great pain. He lost his true love, a broken heart, or indigestion, possibly both.
Interior living room night. Josh, Wendy, and Christine sit around the dinner table. Wendy lights a candle on the table.
During this seance, you may see disturbing things of an unholy nature. You must stay strong, or we shall fail. Also, all seances are non-refundable.
Pardon?
Lock hands.
Josh tries to hold both Christine's hands.
With me.
The three of them lock hands.
We are gathered here to cast you out, evil spirit.
Seems a little judgmental.
Silence! We cast you out.
Josh looks around. The lights start to flicker.
Be gone, spirit. Be gone!
The flickering gets worse. Paintings and books fall to the floor. The candle on the table extinguishes itself.
Be gone! Be gone!
An unearthly cry of pain and anger echoes throughout the room. All right. Excellent job reading, everyone. And thank you, Stingray, for sharing. Oh, someone needs them to say something, I mean.
Oh, no, my bad.
Okay, there you are.
Thank you all for reading, since I'm now on mute. And that's it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I always love the sort of mockumentary deal. So, who wants to start out with feedback? Carmen, do you want us to start with you this time? Or should we start with Willow?
Okay, yeah, because I got to go pack.
Okay.
Okay. I love this. I read the whole thing. I mean, I read I think you wrote 13 pages or 16 pages, Stingray. And it's so funny. I just love it. I love the whole thing of the millennial ghost, and he's lazy and he's a moocher and stuff, and I gave you some feedback, written feedback on this. I don't remember what particular suggestions I had for you to make changes or anything, but I think it's a really cute idea, and I think I did tell you that I could definitely see it as a longer piece. And yeah, I love it. I love it. It was really funny. I remember when I was reading it, I laughed a lot, and that takes a lot to make me laugh, like out loud, stuff that I'm reading. I laugh. I know I'm supposed to laugh about something and it's not so funny anymore. But yeah, I really like it. I like your idea. It's really great. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmen. Dan, any feedback?
I do. I think it's got a lot of potential. But honestly, the cuts feel like they're telling us more than they're showing us. Like, I feel like we don't really get to know the ghost personality. We get to know what others think the ghost's personality or behaviors are, but we don't see the ghost's perspective. You know what I mean? Like, maybe it's because the ghost is a new character, but he doesn't really, like, he's supposed to be an important, pivotal character, but he doesn't really. We get his personality through what others say he is supposed to be. You know what I mean? Rather than what the ghost thinks, or what the ghost thinks of the other characters. Maybe I'm looking at this very incorrectly, and I don't want to cause any problems, so I guess I should skip my turn. Again, I'm sorry if I'm doing this wrong and others are getting mad.
Well, no, it's not. I know I typed that I disagree and gave an opposite viewpoint, but you should still say what you think. You weren't saying anything offensive.
I think the ghost needs more of a direct personality and possibly not be mute. Because it's hard to really be like, oh, especially this early on, we don't know what the ghost is like. Or why do the characters care about him? Why does Josh go, yeah, I'm going to let this ghost make a mess in my house and ruin all my dishes and take up all my bathroom time, and he doesn't give me anything in return? And he doesn't say anything or do any work? Sure. I don't know. That's not funny. That's almost like a borderline abusive relationship.
Was there anything else?
I know we're going to be here a while, so I'm just going to keep going now. I'm just going to say keep going.
Oh, okay, pass the torch.
Yep, keep it moving. Keep the pace.
If you have anything later, you can always type it. Depending on the size, I can read it out loud. But thank you, Dan. Evil Michael, any feedback?
Yeah, very simply, this stuff is funny. And I didn't see it as a mockumentary. I'm a sucker for smart aleck ghosts. Love Beetlejuice. I'm trying to think of where else do we have smart. I think Ghost with Whoopi. Flipping ghosts. I'm a sucker for that. People who are dead and still have a sarcastic sense of humor. It's funny, man. Yeah, I like it. Okay, simple as that. It's funny, and this is one of those no-brainer movies I'm going to watch and just sit up and have a 30-pack of beer and just enjoy the hell out of this. So submit some more pages, please.
Thank you, Evil Michael. See, FTS, any feedback?
Pretty much thought this was really funny so far. The psychic is definitely my favorite of the bunch, and definitely want to know what happens next as to where the whole thing goes.
Thanks, FTS. Heated, any feedback?
Yeah, I'll try to make it quick. Yeah, I like the idea of like just breaking through the fourth wall. I've always liked that. And you do it pretty nicely here. I do think that you got to set up this world a bit more, and then jump into the jokes, and you can still make it funny. But I feel like you're just rushing through. That's how it felt for me. Again, very funny concept. I like the idea of it starts off with night vision, so it starts very creepy with the door slowly creaking open, and it's just the ghost. He's not really. He breaks the horror by saying you forgot the Netflix password. It's a nice beginning. And again, it just tells us this is a funny show. It's a horror, but there is a ghost here. The narrator saying something off camera, I thought was a good joke also. Um, Again, it just does move a bit too quick, and I feel like you could add a bit more dialogue into this. But the actions are there. The Chet, the ghost, is throwing a beer can at Josh. I thought is also funny. Christine seems a bit shoved in there. I think you could build that up, or maybe not. But I feel like you could still build her character up. Again, these are just it looks like the bare bones. You could still put some meat on this, but you have an idea, and it's really fun. And yeah, it also reminds me of this show with Elijah Wood called Wilfred, where he has a dog, but in his head it's a human dog that can talk, or it's a man in a dog costume that can talk. Kind of reminded me of that also. Other than that, fun work. Just put some more jokes in there and just really set out the world. But you're having fun.
Thank you, Heated. And Kraken, I don't know if you wanted to use your mic. I was going to read the text you sent earlier. Kraken says, it was very funny. I especially enjoyed the two scenes where the frame expands to show Josh and Chet. Wendy had some hilarious lines. Also, all seances are non-refundable. One suggestion, drop the narrator line about the visit to Wendy. Use dialogue to convey the reason for their visit instead. Thanks, Kraken. Sam says, /Saturn the writer, I think some of the action lines could be condensed a bit more. Personally, I felt you could have given a bit more background on the characters for their introductions. I did really like this, since I do enjoy a good mockumentary script, since it's weird to see how it's written out. I like that the ghost was mute the entire time, since it really let you try to imagine who they are. And to be honest, this was actually quite funny. Like, I was hooked from the first line, so it was good to me. But would love to see where this goes, not gonna lie. Thank you, Sam. Let's see. Yeah, Kraken doesn't have anything else. Joel, did you have any feedback?
Yeah, I thought this was an entertaining script. It made me laugh. Yeah, I liked the tone of it. It's not a genre or format that I'm particularly familiar with, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. And it's an idea that I've not really seen before. And so, I think it's got potential just because it's a relatively unique idea. I don't know how much I agree with what was said about about the ghost not having its own personality, but rather being displayed through other characters. On the one hand, I do agree. I would like to have more, more dialogue directly, but I don't think it's bad particularly. I think that if you were, in the next scene to have this dialogue with the ghost, maybe that'd be good. Or maybe even you could have your, it could actually work, having the whole script without the ghost. And that's sort of a POV, like, all of our time is spent learning through other people. And maybe, like, at the very end we go, oh, this is a totally different place, totally different person to who we've been described. I don't know if that's how you want to do it. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joel. Jadea, any feedback? I think you might be sleeping. Michelle, any feedback?
Yeah. I like it. I think the ghost personality comes out really well. I love his opening line about about the Netflix password. Um, that would make me definitely jump in my seat. And I've lived in a haunted house I've lived in a house that I believed was haunted, and it's really creepy. Um, the psychic is my favorite. I just love her. I especially love the no refunds on the seance. I thought that was awesome. Um, let's see. I um I felt like the where we left off was really great because it made me wonder, well, what's going to happen to poor Chet? You know, um, and so I'm invested in Chet the ghost, and I want to know more about what's going to happen. And you know, he doesn't seem like he's causing that many. So I don't understand why she brought in a psychic. Like I said, I lived in a house that I believed was haunted, and you know, I um, it was I felt like it was bad, but yet at the same time, I didn't reach out to a psychic or a priest to come, get rid of the ghost. Um, so, and maybe think I'm crazy, and I'm not the sort of person who believes in ghosts, but I felt like, yeah, that there's something here. Anyway, I liked it. I really want to read it. If this were produced, I would definitely go see it. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you, Michelle. Morgana, any feedback? Also, may I please refund my seance?
No, you can't. Maybe buy one get two free or something like that, or buy one. What is it? Buy one get one free. I thought this was nice. It was kind of like a sweet little. I'm not gonna say like I was like on the floor laughing because I couldn't because I was technically acting by the end, but it was a cute little comedy. I like the introduction of the mockumentary. At one point, I would say, like when they did that Muppets mockumentary, I was like, okay, this has been overdone. But I think that was like, what, 8 years ago? I think at this point, it's that style's kind of gone out of fashion, which is good because then people can now do it without it being a genre that hasn't been beaten to death at this point. So I don't mind the mockumentary thing. So yeah, overall pretty cool. Wendy's a cool character. She's probably the funniest, I think, so far. Although the ghost, even though he hasn't really said anything, I thought it was funny when he left and all the dishes were still there. I think a lot of us have probably dealt with people like that or roommates, so that was relatable. So yeah, this was good. Good job.
Thanks, Morgana. Nacho, any feedback?
Yeah, I had a chance to review this. I think like maybe a little different version in the script swap, and I think it does help that you added like the talking head slug lines. This is a mockumentary, and it's funny like the way you've done it. I think if you're doing this as a short, that maybe you're going to film yourself. It's pretty much working as is. Like if people interested or to like as a sample of your writing, then I would definitely like fill out more the action lines, the description of the locations. I mean, standing next to him is a ghost. Like you don't even describe like what the ghost looks like. Again, like obviously if you're directing this yourself, like it doesn't really matter because maybe you have like already, a whole plan, like how you're going to shoot everything. But just as a kind of like a writing sample, you really need to like describe what the ghost looks like and what, a little bit more about Josh and what does the apartment look like, and just really kind of paint the picture, help us like form a really clear mental image of what we're seeing on the screen. And I think I really like the fact that the ghost name is Chet. I think that's a great name for a ghost. And yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned to you before, I laughed. I thought it was you have a lot of funny moments in this. I guess, I like also the dialogue with Wendy, where she's like, I can see it. His name was Chet. We told you his name was Chet. I think, yeah, just, like exterior apartment complex, like what does the place look like? What does the building, all these kinds of things. But again, if you're just shooting it yourself, it's not really a big deal. But yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for bringing this. I enjoyed it.
Thank you, Nacho. Oleg, any feedback?
Not that I can think of right off the bat.
All right. Thanks, Pollock. Radio guy, were you here for the reading?
No, I legit just joined, but I heard something about ghosts, so this script's probably cool.
You should give it a read. I think you specifically would like it. That's okay. Sam, I read yours earlier, unless you had anything else to add. Let's see. Simmer, any feedback? A good friend.
Sorry, I was muted. Wait, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. I love the script. It's so funny. It's like it reminds me of like Trailer Park Boys, like this kind of humor. And I'm a big sucker for like for this bro humor when he's like that's his way of saying one of the bros like beer me up, am I right, bro? Like that's like I'm a sucker for that kind of humor. Anyway, I don't really have anything to say. I just want to say I really love it. It's so funny. Like this is one of those shows that my dad would love. But anyway, yeah, great job.
Thanks, Simmer. Let's see. Support Chariot, did you have any thoughts on the script? Support Chariot. I feel like that's one of those jokes where it's like a synonym for something, but I can't think of it. All right, Taste of Sorrow. Do you have any thoughts on the script? Yep, Taste of Sorrow is typing. Teddy, did you have any thoughts on the script?
Good start, and it has a funny premise on itself. Although it's a good or a bad thing, that's up to other people. But it really felt like a sketch. So I don't know if you're planning to just be a short film, then it will work. But if you try to do something longer with it, it's probably gonna run its course pretty quick. But and good script. That's all.
Thanks, Teddy. Taste of Sorrow says, sorry, can't speak. Every single one of my devices are fucked. Aw. Sorry, Taste of Sorrow. Any feedback you do have for scripts I can read out loud. And Willow, I believe you said that you were just listening from here on out. Me. Type this quickly. All right. And just in case, did anyone else have any additional feedback before we moved on? I don't think I skipped over anyone who had feedback. But yeah, I really liked this script. It was just... I love Josh's inexplicable urge to stand up for this awful ghost roommate who just doesn't give a shit whether he lives or dies. And then Christine is unwillingly dragged into this, and it makes me wonder, like, if Josh is just an idiot who, I don't know, doesn't recognize or someone in Josh's life is so emotionally neglectful that, like, Josh is determined to be this ghost friend. I have no idea. But just really love Chet tossing a beer can at him and coming out of the bathroom to get the laptop and just goes back in. But yeah, I was very happy to see this. It's very cool. So yeah, thank you for sharing, Stingray. And Support Chariot says, are we on Hooch yet or no? Yeah, we're almost there. Are we there? I think we might be there. Hang on.
Yes. Because that is our next script.
Okay. Yeah. And yeah, as always, good job everyone for giving feedback and reading. On to Hooch by Simmer.
Colin, if you... sorry. No, I was going to ask Colin to meet, but we've already done so. So thank you.
One step ahead, yeah. Up now we have Robert. Could you please mute your mic? There you go. Hooch by Simmer. This is a crime drama TV pilot logline for the series. A self-destructive veteran teams up with a teenage girl to make and sell moonshine in order to support his deceased friend's remaining family in Prohibition-era New York City. Pilot logline. When a self-destructive veteran finds out that his deceased friend's family is strapped for cash, he teams up with a teenage girl to begin making moonshine in order to support the family before they get There are too many words or prepositions. Is this scene too lengthy? Is it a compelling hook? Would you be interested in reading further? Feedback on the log lines is appreciated too. Content warning for alcohol and violence. Let's see. Robert, can you hear us? Testing for Robert. Robert. Okay, I'm gonna keep you muted then. Let's start with casting in this
the Robert
case.
who asked is the Robert Green was referring to. As far as I know, there's only one Robert.
Oh, I didn't read. Yeah. Yeah, the blue icon, Robert. You there? Have to have another non-refundable seance.
Hey Robert, are you there? Your mic is unmuted.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna ask just in case you wanted to like do a part or something, but yeah, let's do that now. Let's cast the parts. It'll just be Peyton and John in direction, which I will handle. Although if anyone's
If it's a two character, don't give me one, because I'm going back and forth to the kitchen.
Okay. All right, that's fine. And also, if anyone is ever dying to read direction, you can ask. I just tried to like streamline that bit, but if you really want it, just let me know and I shall cast thee. But Peyton, anyone for the character Peyton?
I would like to volunteer, please.
Oh, support Chariot.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'll volunteer for somebody.
Michelle, would you mind being John?
Oh, no problem.
Thank you, Michelle. And I'll get direction in that case. Here's our cast list. You can find the script Hooch on Table Reads info, or you can simply watch the stream. And yeah, let's get right into it. Right into the Hooch. Directly into the moonshine. By Simmer Sandu. Teaser. Exterior New York City streets. Night. An empty, dark, filthy street underneath a subway bridge in Manhattan. Cigarette butts, empty bottles, and newspapers litter the ground. Rats scurry around. Constance Fong, 15, Chinese American, leans against a wall, repeatedly flipping a quarter in her right hand. She looks poor and worn out, wearing a ragged plain dress with her dirty hair in braids. Super. New York City, 1925. Constance looks across the street. Constance looks across the street to see her brother Jonah, 27, bang on a metal door on the side of a building. Several moments pass, and an older Chinese man opens the door, looks around, and ushers him in. Interior underground distillery, night. Jonah and the man walk down a dimly lit flight of stairs. They reach the bottom. The man opens another metal door to reveal an underground distillery. Barrels upon barrels of moonshine. Jonah grins. Interior church, night. Peyton Duggan, 43, Irish-American, and Father John, 70, Irish-American, sit on opposite sides in a confessional booth. Peyton is intoxicated, breathing heavily, his face red, wearing a coat with his hat on his lap.
Forgive me for troubling you at this hour, Father.
That'll be Michelle.
Oh, I'm sorry. Peyton. Oh, are you drunk again? Oh, wait. Am I supposed to be Irish also?
I guess you don't have to. If you don't know how to do an accent, you don't have to.
Okay. Are you drunk again, Peyton?
Peyton sighs.
What gave it away?
Sorry, I lost it. Hold on.
Also, Simmer, do you just want us to read it normal, sort of serious, or is it okay to do as we will?
Honestly, you guys can do what you want. The accents are funny.
Well, if he says you're more Irish when you're drunk, then John's probably not Irish.
No, it says John's Irish. Irish-American.
Okay. You sound more Irish when you're drunk.
Peyton chuckles, then hiccups. John smiles.
You know, alcohol is illegal now.
Grab me a doctor's prescription. 6 ounces of whiskey a day for me arthritis. And last I checked, a little drinking ain't no sin.
But drunkenness is a sin.
I suppose. But the line between the two gets proper blurry sometimes, don't it?
Well, why are you here? What's been troubling you today, Peyton?
Peyton takes a deep breath.
Been doing some thinking. You know, before Chris died, Peter denied knowing him 3 times, and he wept 'cause he regretted it later.
Of course I know.
And you know Christ's disciple, Judas? The ones who turned him in for, 30 silver coins, was it?
Of course, Peyton. I am a Catholic priest.
Right, well, I've been thinking. So they were both disciples of Christ, and they both betrayed him. Only Judas felt so guilty that he hanged himself, while Peter didn't. In fact, he kept spreading the word of the Lord until he was crucified for it too, until his very last breath.
The difference between Judas and Peter.
That's what I've been thinking about. Well, unlike Judas, Peter didn't betray Christ for money. He denied knowing him out of fear, but...
Aiden's voice trails off.
The difference between Peter and Judas is that Peter believed the Lord would forgive him, while Judas didn't believe it.
Aiden considers. A tear forms in his eye. That'll be Michelle again.
Yeah, sorry. Do you believe that the Lord will forgive you, Peyton? Do you believe that he'll forgive each and every one of us?
Oh no, Father.
John smiles. He takes out a piece of paper and unfolds it.
I have something for you. Do you know of St. Jude, patron saint of impossible things?
I suppose so.
Well, why don't you do like something is impossible? Just remember these words. Are you ready?
Peyton nods. Exterior New York City streets, night. Constance continues to flip the quarter in her hand.
Most holy apostle Saint Jude, faithful servant and friend of Jesus.
Constance drops the quarter on the ground. It rolls to a stop on the pavement.
The Church honors and invokes you universally as the patron of hope.
Constance walks to the coin. She bends down to pick it up.
Please intercede on my behalf.
Constance picks up the coin. She looks up across the street.
Make use of that particular privilege given to you to bring hope, comfort, and help when they are needed most.
Constance's eyes grow wide in horror. She drops the coin again.
Come to my assistance in this great need that I may receive the consolation and help of heaven as I work with the challenges.
The building across the street is completely engulfed in flames.
I praise God with you and all the saints forever.
The metal door bursts open. Jonah dashes out on fire, flailing his arms around, screaming for his life.
I promise, blessed Saint Jude, to be ever mindful of the great favor.
Meanwhile, Hayton stumbles down another street, taking swigs from his metal flask.
To always honor you as my special and powerful patron.
Hayton approaches an intersection when 4 fire trucks zoom past him, sirens blaring.
And to gratefully encourage devotion to you. Amen.
Hayton stumbles backwards, nearly falling over. Hayden watches the fire trucks zoom down the street, their sirens fading into the distance. He takes another swig from his flask and continues stumbling down the street. End teaser. Excellent job reading, everyone. Thank you, Simmer, for sharing. And let's see, what did I...
Sorry, I got to interrupt, but that acting was amazing.
A wonderful job. Very much. It was interesting that, like, the major part of the action wasn't even the people talking. It was interesting how we were somewhere else entirely, in a confessional booth, saying this serene prayer while awful shit is happening elsewhere.
I kind of wonder, is the priest, is he magical? Or does he like blessed with some sort of supernatural power that he can, when he prays to St. Jude or whomever, he can make things happen?
I'm not sure that's what it's indicated, but I didn't write it, so I can't say for sure. But feedback we're looking for. Let me get to the
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Feedback we're looking for: are the log lines clear and interesting? Are there too many words or prepositions? Is this scene too lengthy? Is it a compelling hook? Would you be interested in reading further? Feedback on the log lines is appreciated too. Let's spice it up. Michelle, why don't you start us off? We'll work down and then we'll loop back around.
Okay, I can't find the log line. I liked it. For a teaser, this might be a little bit long, but if it seems like it's going to be some sort of supernatural, maybe thriller, maybe action, maybe horror, maybe maybe all that. In those sort of movies that like sci-fi especially or horror, you can get away with a little bit longer of a teaser. Depends upon the market at the same time. If it's Fast and Furious, it can't be too long. I liked it. I'm very interested as to why these things happen when this priest is saying a prayer to Saint Jude. I'm wondering, the priest is magical or has supernatural powers granted by God, or if you pray to St. Jude, maybe these things happen. I mean, I'm Episcopalian. It's similar, but it's not. We don't pray to saints, But um, I liked it. Those are my only questions.
Thanks, Michelle. Morgana, did you have any feedback?
I liked it. I guess I could see where Michelle's coming from in 5 minutes, but I don't know. This is like, I'm guessing this definitely seems like a 60. Well, this is really 4.5 minutes, but seems definitely like an HBO type Boardwalk Empire, big budget, epic period piece, 60-minute drama. So I don't really mind that it's 5 minutes or whatever, or 4.5 minutes. I love the log line and the idea. I think it's not really a period that gets explored as often as it should be, I think. And it's dealing with, I'm going to guess, PTSD with the World War I veteran. I don't think we've met the teenage girl yet, unless she was the girl in the... I guess we have Constance. So that will be interesting because she's Chinese, and it wasn't as bad by the 20s as it was in like the late 19th century, but it was still bad in terms of racism. And obviously the prohibition, like you can do so much with the 1920s in terms of jazz and just the politics of the time and everything. So I think there's a lot of potential. So, and I will concur with what everyone was saying. Good job, Michelle. And great job, Support Chariot. Accents, I can't do no Irish accent. I can barely do an American accent, and I have one. So, great job, you guys.
Thanks, Morgana. Carmen says, this is my feedback. I love the idea. The loglines work for me. The dialogue works. I love the characters. Great job. Thanks, Carmen. Let's see. Next is Nacho. Any feedback?
Yeah, so I agree with Morgana. First of all, just having read some of your other scripts, I know this is going to be a really fun story and a cool world. And I love historical stuff from 1920s and the different cultures clashing and whatever, gangs and all kind of stuff. It's going to be a really cool story. I feel like the teaser, the dialogue with Peyton and John, it's really interesting opening. It felt like it kind of drags a bit, with page 2. I guess I don't feel like we're building to something. And then when John's praying, voiceover, I guess I'm looking for a little bit bigger, surprise or kind of to button this teaser. So it's unless you kind of, maybe you're meant to show that Peyton started the fire or something, but it's not clear enough for me to understand that. I don't get that he started the fire. So it just feels like there's, someone named Jonah and someone named the man who you didn't really even describe them or their ages or introduce them. Oh, Jonah is Constance's brother. Okay. I missed that. At first I thought it was John, right? So, okay. So I guess, yeah, it feels like I'm not getting the story of what's happening in the distillery. I'm not understanding that part of it. And the discussion in the church doesn't feel related. And, other than the fact that, it's about drinking moonshine. So I guess, yeah, I would say I think this could be maybe cut down to 2 or 3 pages and a really strong, surprise or something at the end. And that would be a really nice end of your teaser.
Hey, Nacho. I think I wasn't
Yes.
sure. I was sort of stumbling in my head. Were you saying earlier that you weren't sure whether the priest had anything to do with the fire or not?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I saw him. He's walking around the street, like, following the fire, or he's stumbling down a street. But I didn't really see the connection with the fire and
Okay.
with Peyton.
Okay, I thought you were like bringing up the priest causing the fire again, because Simmer did say a while ago, sorry for the misunderstanding, the priest has no supernatural powers, I just used the voiceover for dramatic effect. But I don't think that's what you were saying in the first place, so.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I was saying it just felt like two disconnected scenes, I guess. But you know, I think this is a really cool story world that's being set up here.
Thanks, Nacho. Let's see. Robert says I had a kitchen emergency and missed some of this, so I have no comment. Hope you're okay, Robert. Michelle says, oh, this was it. I love the idea. True story, my dad and grandfather used to be bootleggers while in high school, and my grandma was a staunch temperance woman. My grandfather also owned a concrete company. Oh, wow. Wait, what was it?
My grandfather owned a concrete company called Gaddis Concrete. And
oh, you were like, this was something you were trying to remember earlier?
Well, no, I was just adding that you know, I have like that experience with my family of my dad and my grandpa being bootleggers, and you know, while during Prohibition, you know, and in the same household here, my grandmother is a staunch temperance woman, and my grandfather owns a concrete company. So I mean, they were living kind of like a typical stereotype of bootleggers, you know. Anyway.
Wow. Oh, cool. Thanks for sharing. And thank you for your feedback, Nacho. Radio guy, did you have any feedback?
So I'm gonna have to conflict here a little bit with Nacho, but you know, Nacho made some good points. I'd say, you know, no bad blood here. We're good. You're cool, and your feedback is totally, you know. But I would say that I do think that it can be interesting having this be disconnected from the main characters. I do remember reading giving feedback on your logline, or I do remember doing that, and like I was, oh, this is kind of like a cool idea, and like we don't see very. I'm assuming that Constance is the teenage girl that, like, you know, teams up with the veteran to sell moonshine, and we don't see very much of them, but I do think that having it start out not with them, or having them not be in there as much in the beginning, could be an interesting move, because it kind of reminds me of the beginning of Pulp Fiction, where, like, you know, you don't really see Vincent Vega or anyone, like you just see the, you know, the two, like the couple in the bar for like a good solid like few, like 5 minutes or so. I do think that it should, like, because a lot of the conversation, and this is where I agree with Nacho, it didn't entirely feel like it was building up to something very much. So I think, you know, having that build up might help, you know, like kind of propel us towards when we start to see the fire. The fire was cool, by the way. You know, that was like, you know, that was a cool scene, and like, you know, the striking imagery of like the guy like on fire and flailing his arms around. But yeah, it's I also like the characters, and again, like absolutely great voice acting also, and I'd say there's a lot of potential here when it comes to editing this, because, you know, if it is going to be a 5 minute scene or like anything longer than that, I do think it should like be justified, sort of like the, you know, the opening of Pulp Fiction, where it is like not the main characters, but you know, if this is like an integral scene, ties in with the story, and like, you know, can really be there, like be like a significant starter. It is because it is a great hook, I'd say, for the series. But if all that can be taken into account, I'd say that this scene is a keeper. I think. Also, your profile picture has absolutely impeccable cropping. That's it.
Thanks, Radio Guy. See, Robert, I think you said you had no comment. Sam, did you have any feedback? Hang on, did I read any of your... Oh, okay. Wait 2 seconds. Okay, there we go. Sam says, a lot of the action lines at the beginning could either be cut down, don't focus too much on costuming, or just spread out with some white space. The underground distillery should be broken up into 2 sublines, since one part is the staircase and the other room is the actual underground distillery. Could do with a bit more subtext in the dialogue. Alcohol is illegal now stood out, since it should be something Peyton would already know. I think this is an interesting setup, but I don't feel quite roped into the characters, to be honest. Peyton seemed interesting to an extent, but the rest of the characters didn't have much development, especially Jonah, since they're literally on fire moments after they're introduced, so it didn't really have much of an impact on me. It could be explained later on, but I just didn't feel very attached, since the fire is supposed to be the hook, but I guess I might be the odd one out in saying I didn't feel too roped into it. Thanks, I want to call you Saturn Sam, thank you. Stingray, did you have any feedback?
Yeah, I mean, I'll quickly say I think just the voiceover of the priest being accompanied to the visuals of the fire explosion. I think also, like a lot of people here, my brain was trying to connect the two, and rereading it, I now realize that there's no connection, or they're both occurring, but like one didn't necessarily cause the other. But I feel like the way they're because the Theo is over the action, sort of, since I'm sure this was a reference point, like in The Godfather, where the priest gives the VO of I forget whose baptism, but there is an explicit connection in that, like Michael, I think it's his nephew. It's been a very long time since I saw The Godfather, but Michael has committed murders, and there's a explicit connection between the VO of the baptism scene and the murders that are seen being taking place. I think just generally having the VO over the visuals, I was trying to connect it. And then beyond that, I think also I really did like the conversation between the priests and Peyton. I mean, there were references to not like super obscure parts of Catholic, of like the Catholic religion, but still the fact that like Peyton had been thinking about Judas and what was the name of the other saint? Thank you. Yes. Had been thinking about those two, gave me a sort of, a more lived in, very specific vibe that this was felt more believable than if it was much more generic dialogue. This felt like an original thought that a Catholic might actually have. But I do agree that I also wasn't sure what was building towards. I guess for me specifically, aside from obviously some like absolution, I wasn't sure what Peyton wanted to have the conversation with the priest. Obviously, he was drunk, he felt some guilt over it, but I wasn't, and he seemed to be grappling with something weighty, perhaps involving personal fear, or at least that was my takeaway from the conversation. But I wasn't sure what he wanted out of the priest. I wasn't sure, like, in an ideal world, what Peyton's end goal for that conversation was. I wasn't sure what Peyton's end goal for that conversation was, or how, if he walked away from that, if he like felt that he got what he wanted or he didn't get what he wanted. That's probably my biggest note.
Thank you, Stingray. Support Chariot. Much as I would love an encore, do you have any feedback for the script?
So I'm still learning how to do script writing myself, and I feel like I could probably give better feedback after I've read it again. but I do really like the part with the fire and John doing the voiceover. I thought that was really well done. You can really feel like uh Constance's like horror as she sees the fire. I thought that was a really cool scene. Um I've been sitting here for the past few minutes trying to, gather all my thoughts, but uh something else that I wanted. Oh. Yeah, I gonna be real. Don't really know what's going on with Constance and uh Jonah, but I feel like I'd probably understand a little better after I read it again. Um I do also really like the log line, and I think it's really cool that you're doing um a story set in the Prohibition era. I thought I thought that was really cool because we don't really see, I think someone else mentioned this earlier, but we don't really see many like stories set in that time era. So I thought that was pretty unique. And I cannot think of anything. Moving on.
Thank you, Sport Chariot. Let's see, Teddy, any feedback?
Nothing that nobody has said already. Like, it's really bold that you're doing this really cinematic feeling, and having this different situation with a priest and a drunken man. But I feel that you have a really good setup for something great. It's just a suggestion. You could have the discussion between the drunk and the priest be what's the word? Basically, just setting the theme of the story with their discussion. You have a really good setup, and you can do a lot with this, but the priest and the drunk man just feels like a filler and a cinematic, and does nothing for the story. But it is an opening to do something better with it. But otherwise, pretty good script. Always nice to see the prohibition, that era. And I like to see where it goes.
Thanks, Teddy. I feel as though that was already the case. Like this conversation setting the tone in a way we're yet to see. But yeah, thank you, Teddy. Willow, I think, is just in podcast mode for the foreseeable future. And since we started with Michelle, it's time to wrap back around. Bitter Bun, that would be you. Did you have any feedback? Or were you just listening in? All right, Brandon, did you have any feedback?
I
Wait,
joined a little late, so I don't really have much.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, like one more script, I think, so we'll get a chance. Potentially 2 more scripts if another writer shows up. Bitter Bun says, I'm so sorry, I couldn't understand the script. I have a hard time with accents. That's okay. Let's see, Colin, did you have any feedback? And if you do have any, if you do happen to read it later, Bitter Bun, and you have feedback, you can type it out. Colin?
Yeah, while I was doing feedback, I was trying to read it again and trying to make sense of it.
That's okay.
It was a bit confusing. Because I guess with the conversation between John and Peyton, I think I agree with Stingray. I did not get the point of it. I mean, I get that there's like 2 people talking about the Bible or whatnot, but in terms of character, I did not know who was driving or who meant to be the main character. And from the last of it, it's like I think John is, and Peyton went out, and then I agree with Stingray. I did not understand what Peyton went away with that conversation. Like, why was he there? How would he know that John gave him something? Like, what was his issue? there was discussion about Irish people and being drunk, and then the Bible. So I think it's good for character, but then like it went from 0 to 100 pretty quick with a fire. And I actually like that it's with the voiceover you actually have like a crescendo, like the last climax of the teaser, which is good. But then afterwards I did not like fire me up for the next moment, because I don't know who to, or do I need to look out for Peyton? Do I need to look out for John? It felt a bit muddled, and it was very hard to read in terms of just understanding the story. I guess it's only a teaser, so I would like to read more and just like get the story more, I guess.
Thanks, Colin. Dan, did you have any feedback?
I do, but I'm going to touch on something else, which is the Irishness. Like you kind of half-asses it. Like you throw in a few yes here and there, but then I don't know. I feel like you should just say instead of just having her type out in the super Irish burr or whatever the term is called, just say that her voice is sloshed and she's how shall I say, and that her accent is laying on thick, and that way you don't have to worry about writing out any sort of Irish isms in her dialogue, because that was a little distracting. Like, okay, is she going to go full on? Is she going to go full on with the stereotypical accent here? Because I don't know. I feel like that should be an actor to see, something for an actor to do instead of to write out, overdo the accents. Because I used to do that too, where I'd but usually I do that for comedy. In a serious moment, I don't know. I feel like it distracts because you got to remember to go ye instead. Or where else is her accent thick in this regard? I don't know. I'm kind of just at the point where, because I'm going last as usual, I'm getting into I'm stuck with nitpicks, because I otherwise would be repeating myself to others, and that's not good.
I'm sorry. We can start with you next time if you want. It's just, we had like this weird, this time we actually started with Michelle. And so like, you're like, we have Michael, Teen, 3.
Oh, I didn't realize I had stepped out for a moment and I thought I had missed my turn.
Yeah. But we do have like a bunch of people, and you're right that it is hard to like give feedback once the big topics are sort of picked over. But yeah, I can try to get you towards the front next time. Thank you, Dan, for your feedback. Evil Michael, did you have any feedback?
Yes, I do. So, sometimes, actors can make a script, and in this case, it did. I hope you hear me applauding, because just the musicality of listening to it as a Yankee, American Chicagoan Yankee, just listening to the music of these accents was like a musical concert to me. Having said that, as a professional educator, I'm going to be a little prejudiced. Whenever I see a script or a film or a movie where adults are intentionally involving children and juveniles and underage people in crime, and I don't mean subtle, like we're committing crimes and you're part of it, and this is how much money we're going to make on this, you automatically have my attention. You see it. That's what Oliver Twist was. You see it in Paper Moon with Ryan and Tatum O'Neal, and many other movies. South Central, my favorite gangster movie, where grown-ups are using and exploiting children to commit their crimes in this underworld life. So that's a very intense genre, and I find it intriguing. And also, like in this time period, in this time period with all the immigrants coming into America, and with all the turmoil that was going on in the world post World War One. Look, hey kid, this is a family business. We're moonshiners. All right, go take the crate downstairs and just shut up, and then come back upstairs, and then get this one and put it in the sheriff's car. Okay, so I love those kind of movies. Yeah, I like this kind of script. I'm intrigued. I like it. It could be a little stereotypical, but you know, my last name is Gleason, so I'm, you know, some way back, some Irish white guy did the wild thing with my great grandma somewhere along the line, and I've got this. But also, Irish accents are really musical to me, so I really enjoyed this. And again, the genre. Bringing them into the world of crime, I find intriguing, fascinating. It's a sensitive topic, needs to be done with care and consideration. Curious? I want to see what you have next. Please submit some more pages. Hey, from now on, that's my outline.
Thank you, Evil Michael. FTS, any feedback? FTS. What about Heated? Did you... none this time from FTS. Heated, did you have any feedback? Don't know why I said that like FEEDBECK. All right, Joel, did you have any feedback?
No, I think everything's been taken.
I think Jade is asleep still.
Hello?
Oh wait, there you are, Heated.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I guess it reminds me of this scene from Hunger. It's this movie that was directed by Stephen McQueen, and pretty much it's like a 15-minute long scene of just a priest and someone in jail talking. It kind of felt like that. It also feels like the Banshees in Bruges, just because of the Irishness and just a lot of back and forth dialogue. For some reason, I can see the ending. It's very HBO-ish in a sense that I feel like this would be directed by Christopher Nolan in a sense, because I don't know why it reminds me of The Dark Knight at the beginning, where things are falling towards the end and there's this dialogue in the background. It was really well done. And yeah, it kind of reminds me also of The 25th Hour by Spike Lee, where there's this monologue going on. And it's, it's
That was all. Thank you, Heated. Let's see.
Wait, sorry, I cut out. I apologize. The last thing I'm gonna add is I think if you wanted to, you could really stretch out that. It's like a montage towards the end where John is giving this voiceover. And I think you could really stretch that out a bit more and maybe show a bit more of New York City at this time. And then you end it with Constance looking at the fire. And the last part, I like how it ends with a little joke of drunk painting, seeing the fire and then walking off, taking another swig of his glass. But well done, dude.
Thanks, Heated. Right, I think that was everyone. I really enjoyed it. Needless to say, I never am a good gauge of whether something is confusing because I'm perpetually confused just in my day-to-day life. But, so I clearly didn't mind it here because it wasn't much of a deviation from most other a problem for me. Yeah, I like the juxtaposition between the calm scene in the confessional and the guy catching on fucking fire. That was ramped it up a little bit. It was very terrifying. We could see Constance's reaction to that. We're, I assume, going to see what Jonah meant to her sometime later. I don't know upon rewatch that would make me feel more about Jonah in this scene. Clearly now he's just some guy, but it didn't bother me too much, so we didn't have time to get attached to him. And because I assume that's coming later. One thing I was concerned about, if you want us to know that Constance and Jonah are sister and brother, I would want more of an indicator of that, because for all I know, there's never words about it. They don't exchange words about it. They didn't walk up to the place together. Constance is just watching, which that is a clue they're associated. But I would never know just watching this they were brother and sister. So I don't know if that's an important detail for you to communicate to the audience. I would try to work out some way to do it. Maybe show them walking up together, Jonah motioning for her to stay there while he goes into the distillery. But yes, very good job, if I do say so myself. Anyone have anything else to add before we move on to what is presumably our last script? I didn't DM our other writer, but I don't think they're going to show up, unfortunately. Well, yeah, thanks for sharing, Simmer. Always a treat to read your stuff. Some massive detail that I missed in the action lines that would indicate that they're brother and sister, please let me know. I am known to overlook things. But, yes, final script.
We won't be joining for our final script, as they have asked that it is not broadcast. Instead, we will end this week here, and we will say thank you very, very much for joining us. We hope you will join us again next week, where we will continue to read more scripts from our members on the Discord server. If you would like to join us on our Discord server for the script, you can do so in the description of this video, and you are more than welcome to join us. But otherwise, we will leave it here. Thank you very, very much for joining us. See you next week. Goodbye.